Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So welcome back to the ultimate video test, and today I'm checking out the OnePlus 8T in low light conditions. Now, as with all ultimate video tests, I leave all of the main camera specifications down in the description, and I'll just run through some of the high level features throughout the video to help save you a little bit of time. So starting with the front facing camera then, and this is the same old 16 megapixel front facing camera. It is fixed focus. It can record video at up to 1080p at 30 frames per second with electronic image stabilisation. And strangely, it still has mono sound even though it's got stereo microphones for the rear video recording. These front-facing sensors are usually quite challenged, especially with the electronic stabilisation in these conditions. But this is just to give you an illustration of how the video looks whilst walking in more challenging lighting conditions. So just gonna turn around to this area of darkness behind me to see if the phone alters the exposure. So you can see the moon behind me. You can't really make out the clouds, but there is a mode on the rear facing cameras which I'll show you a little bit later on in this video, which helps to see that kind of stuff. Now strangely, the audio is still being recorded at around 96 kilobytes per second, so nothing's really improved over previous OnePlus handsets, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But you let me know what you think of the front-facing camera video on the OnePlus 8T. Now before I move to the rear-facing cameras, it's interesting to note that the front-facing camera also now has a 21:9 aspect option, and I presume this is to sort of mimic the Cine mode which can be done on the rear cameras. So because basically what they're doing is just stretching out the video to fill a frame, you can see it really crops in and I can't really get my head into the top and bottom of the frame. This mode really is probably only going to be effective when you can get the phone at a really decent arm's length to get the effect of the pseudo Cine mode from the front facing camera. Alright, so moving around to the rear cameras then, and we're starting off the test with the ultra wide angle camera, and this is a 16 megapixel fixed focus lens, and it can record video up to 4K at 30 frames per second with electronic image stabilisation, and also records in stereo sound. Ultra wide lenses tend not to fare too well in low light. As you can see, the exposure is really taking a dip using the ultra wide angle lens, and you'll be able to see the difference that it makes now when I switch to the main 48 megapixel camera, and you can see the real difference that it makes by letting in more light. Alright, so this is the main 48 megapixel camera then, and as you can see there is a big difference in the amount of light that's being let into the lens compared to the ultra wide camera. Now this has also got electronic image stabilisation and records in stereo sound. Since the OnePlus 7 series, OnePlus has improved its electronic image stabilisation algorithm. It's a lot smoother, but sometimes can be at the expense of some jitter in the video, so you get a lot of wiggles in some of the footage, especially when there's things like street lighting. Now you can also use the 2x digital zoom, and then you can go all the way up to 10x zoom, which isn't ideal. As you can see, detail does suffer quite a bit. I would say around about 3x zoom is about acceptable, and I agree it's not ideal in low light, but it does give you an idea of what the sensor is capable of in this kind of conditions. And hopefully with passing traffic you can get an idea of the stereo microphone recording. Okay, so highest resolution and frame rate available then is 4K at 60 FPS using the main camera. Now 60 FPS isn't ideal again in low light. That's basically double the frame rate being captured. Means twice the amount of time it needs to process that into the camera. So just like the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 8 and also Nord, you can also use the Cine camera mode or 21:9 using the main camera as well as the ultra wide. And I think we see the best results using the main camera. In daylight it'd be different obviously, but in low light you can still get the benefit of the pseudo wider aspect. But it is at the expense of a heavier crop on the footage. You are clipping off around about 40% of the sensor by using this mode. But you let me know what you think. And this is Cine mode using 30 frames per second at 4K. You can see there's a lot more light being pulled into the sensor here. But what do you think of the OnePlus 8T video recording overall? You let me know down in the comments. Alright, so as well as the standard video mode, you also get this portrait video feature. Now what this basically is a video bokeh effect, which gives you blurred background with hopefully a crispy subject which kind of stands out more than the background. Now this is only available on the rear facing camera, not on the selfie camera, and it records at 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now I'd imagine it's not ideal in low light. It does look really good during daytime, and I'd imagine I'm probably a little bit out of frame because it's really hard to distance the phone far enough away to get the effect to work. Now, I have noticed in lower light the effect kind of pulses, so you can see the background kind of shifting from normal to bokeh focus arrangement. But hopefully you might be able to see the effect of this on video, and you let me know what you think. Alright, so the last video mode that I want to show you then is not this one. I'm just showing you this as a comparison when I switch over in a moment. But OnePlus have now added Nightscape video to the OnePlus 8T. Now this previously showed up as a feature in the beta release of the OnePlus 8 Pro Android 11 software, but now becomes an official feature on not just the OnePlus 8 Pro but also the OnePlus 8T. So this is just using the standard video mode at 4K at 30 frames per second. And this is using Nightscape video mode, which appears to really crank up the ISO and removes the electronic image stabilisation to give you a clean-ish night style image. Now it's not as good as what I've seen on the Oppo Find X2 Pro or the Huawei devices, and you can see there is some focus hunting going on. But you can see it really cranks up the exposure, and if I move the phone around you can even see the stars in the sky in the distance, and also up ahead as well. And you can see there it's really super bright when in areas of night street lighting. Now I just have to be careful with the footsteps here. It does utilise optical image stabilisation because it is using the main lens on the OnePlus 8T. You can see it's digging out far more light in the shadows here. I do find there's a little bit of a vignette around the edges of the image, so it's not quite corner to corner. look out into the distance here, you can see it really does cram in much more compared to the standard video mode, which looks like this. So this is just standard 4K at 30 FPS. And this is Nightscape video at 1080p 30. So there's no electronic stabilisation, but careful footsteps. You can see it really does make a difference to the overall image quality. You can see stars and the clouds up in the distance there. But you let me know what you think of the video using the new Nightscape mode. Alright, so at 4K 30 then, let's check out autofocus. You can see it's nice and quick, and it picks up all the dust and lint from where the Poco X3 has been in my pocket. But it gives you an idea of how the phone copes with autofocus in low light conditions. So it's picking up a pattern of the casing there as well, and even the little writing on the back of the case. So that is pretty good. Alright, so that's the end then of the OnePlus 8T Ultimate Low Light video test. I think some things have improved from previous iterations of OnePlus devices, such as the OnePlus 7 Pro, the 7T, the OnePlus 8 and the Nord. But it's still not quite perfect. You don't expect it to be with these tiny sensors in this kind of lighting conditions, but it would be good to see some advancement of the Nightscape video mode to cater for more lenses. But I think the overall quality of the video is fair. I think that would be the most honest appraisal I can give for the OnePlus 8T. But do look out for my daytime video test. We'll see how OnePlus 8T fares in normal conditions. But you let me know what you think of the video quality in low light from the OnePlus 8T down in the comments. And don't forget, if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing so you don't miss more videos coming like this on the channel very, very soon. But for now, this is me, my ultimate low light video test for the OnePlus 8T. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.